Hello everybody, and thank you for joining today's Partner Talk. This is Chuck Sicard, Global Partner Marketing Manager here at Progress. And one housekeeping slide. Please note all lines will be muted. However, we will be taking questions throughout this Partner Talk. So if you have any questions during the presentation, please submit them anytime through the question box to the right of your screen as outlined in this slide. Also, today's presentation will be recorded and it will be posted to the sales portal shortly. So again, we're muting all lines, but we're taking questions anytime through this question box. If you can move to the next slide. So as you know, Progress announced the Progress SaaS Fast Track program on a similar Partner Talk in early June. Since then, you have received a few communications promoting the SaaS Fast Track planning tool, including details for the June 15th Partner SaaS webinar replay, the SaaS resource site within the OpenEdge website, a new data sheet, and soon to come updated SaaS ebook and a canned demo for the planning tool. This week, I will be launching a 5-touch OE partner outreach campaign informing and helping the partners to get a better understanding of the SaaS journey. This campaign will continue through early September. Hopefully you are finding interest with your partners about planning and working on a SaaS offering. As part of the Partner Executive Enablement process of the SaaS program, we are honored to have Colleen Smith today, who will take us through her SaaS journey to the SaaS methodology. And with that, I'm going to hand it over to Colleen to go ahead and get started.
Thank you, and hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and I'm very excited to be here to talk about a topic that, as you all know, is very near and dear to my heart, software as a service or cloud computing, or depending upon what you call it these days. I just read an article last week that said that SaaS basically is now really just mainstream application delivery, and so things are changing out there. And what I want to talk to you today a little bit about is how we help our partners with their journey. Some of them have already made that journey to software as a service, some are in the middle of it, and some are just beginning it. And so I think it's important that everybody understands how Progress views this journey and what we have to actually help our partners on their journey to software as a service. First and foremost, I think it's just something that everybody should realize that, very few companies will just be on-premise or only in the cloud. We really are living in a hybrid world, and the world now has changed. 12 years ago when I started talking about software as a service, many people viewed this as something new. Today, 12 years later in 2017, the world has changed, and what we have is some applications will just need to be cloud aware. There are some on-premise applications that will stay there, some customers that have already bought them, they've invested, they're not going to make that change, and those applications can reside there. Other applications will migrate to the cloud, and people need to think about what does it take to do that migration, and we'll talk about some of the tools, services, products, and capabilities that we have to help people make that migration. And some applications will be born in the cloud. And this is another thing. You need to start talking about what applications our partners have, what do they need, and what are they doing, because I think it's really important for everybody to understand that Progress really can help in all aspects of this type of requirements, and that's what we call it, our cloud investment model, because it is an investment for our partners to think about what does it mean for them to either be on-premise, to be migrating to the cloud, or to actually build new applications in the cloud. There's really three elements of a partner's journey to SaaS. The first is to understand the strategy, and this is really important. Obviously, we look at our partners as an extension of our sales organization, and so we really need to work very closely with our partners on their strategy. We need to understand what is the strategy, and some of you have seen me talk, and we actually have a model for this that many of our partners have also seen me work with them on, and we'll talk about that today. We also need to make sure that our partners have a plan, and the plan is about how our partners can be successful. There needs to be a business plan. This is a go-to-market plan. What are they going to do? How are we going to actually help them go to market? With a go-to-market, you need a marketing plan. What is the digital marketing strategy? We now live in a world of cloud and web, and that requires a different marketing strategy and a marketing plan. And then finally, a deployment plan. Who's going to host this application? Where is it going to be hosted? What's going to be hosted? How is it going to be hosted? What's the relationship? And so these are really the plans that are really required on this journey to SaaS. And finally, we do have an ecosystem of partners, and we do have a lot of ways in which we can assist them. And so I think it's important that you understand, and we all understand, what resources are available. How can we help with services? How can we help with training? And how can we actually support all of their business requirements? Let's start first with strategy. Many of you have seen me draw this picture before, and it really is just a very simple diagram that I use to talk about what is the strategy that's required for moving or for our partner's journey to software as a service. I start with the fact that many of our partners, well, all of our partners pretty much have an existing product and they have existing customers. But there's also ways in which they could build new products and new services, and they absolutely could go after new customers. And the reason why I put this up is for them to start to understand what is their strategy as they think about moving to software as a service. So lots of times the thought process is, well, I have these existing customers and I have this existing product, so I'll just build a SaaS business model and I'll go after my same customers. Well, the problem with that is that's really cannibalization. And if you think about a strategy that just focuses on existing product and existing customers, it really isn't a growth strategy. And software as a service in cloud should be about growth. And so I usually say, let's not even think about that. Let's keep all existing customers on-premise. Let's keep them on-premise, and let's keep your existing product supporting them with this same business model. Now, over time, some might want to move. That's fine, but that isn't a strategy. That's just something that might happen. So when you think about the strategy, the next thing is, well, I could go out and build a brand new product and go after brand new customers. Well, that's what most startups do. And the reason why I tend to caution our partners about this one is, this is what a startup does, and this is going to cost a lot of money. So if a partner has recently gone out to a VC or gotten infusion of cash or investments, then sure, this is the way they could do. They could build a brand new product and go after brand new customers. But that's going to cost money. So typically, knowing our partners, that isn't necessarily what they're thinking about. And so I say that's then probably not the right strategy for right now. It might be a strategy in the future, and we absolutely have products and capabilities and services that can help them with that. But if you're thinking about the existing product and your existing customers and what you have today in terms of investment and what you need to invest, then it's really these next two quadrants, which is where most of our partners end up falling in terms of SaaS strategy. The first one is they might want to build a brand new product or offer brand new services. And these might be complementary to the existing product. They might need to build expanded users. So maybe they're looking for a web-based capability, or maybe they're looking at a brand new module, and that module might be something that's adjunct to their existing product. For example, pricing, or some smaller module that is complementary to their existing ERP application, let's say. And so these are smaller based applications. Now they might want to build this brand new product or service offering just as a hosted service. They might use role-based, they might use OpenEdge, they might use even just, this could be a mobile application. So it's really not what the technology is right here. In a strategy decision, it's what's your go-to-market strategy. What are you trying to do? Are you trying to just upsell to existing customers? Are you trying to be able to expand the number of users that use your product? Are you looking to build a brand new module and thought, gee, this module would be really good if I just host it as a cloud-based service? So it's understanding what they're trying to do. What I typically do here is throw out this as an option, and then it's time for discussion in the room, and that's why this is really good to have just a sit-down discussion to talk about it. The other option is the lower left quadrant, and this is about the fact that they have this existing product, and what they're trying to do from a growth strategy is sell to brand new customers. But brand new customers, as I said earlier, a lot of them won't even look at somebody unless they have SaaS or cloud offering. And so it might just be taking this existing product and going down market, going into a new geography, going into a new channel. You know, they might even be going to an adjacent market or going up market, but selling just to a department, for example, in a larger company. Majority of our partners sell to the small to medium-sized businesses. They might want to go very small, or they might want to actually go large. And so really understanding what the opportunity is, and this is where we have an opportunity to understand their marketing plan and what is their strategy, and how do they see this opportunity, and is there a lot of opportunity? For example, some of our partners right now selling to mid-market see that there's a huge opportunity to go down market. But right now their pricing and the fact that the customer has to install it and load it and manage it themselves, that's what prohibits these smaller companies from actually using their application. And so really stepping back and asking them the tough questions and asking our partners, lots of times this is something that all of our partners haven't necessarily thought about. And so understanding where the market opportunity is and where that growth opportunity. Because when we look at the journey to SaaS, if you're going to do this kind of investment, there has to be a reward for that investment. And that reward typically is new business, it's new revenue, and it's growth revenue. It's not just going after the same old customers or even the same target market that you've always gone after. It's about going after net new. And so this is the strategy discussion that first and foremost everybody has to have, because I said the first part of a journey to SaaS is understanding what the strategy is. And understanding that strategy is really important, but we also can actually help them. And this is where, as I mentioned, we have this investment model that we've developed that actually helps customers once they determine what their strategy is and they know what that strategy is, then what are the elements of building that strategy and what can progress do to help them? So is it modernizing their existing application? Is it building a brand new application? Is it just figuring out how to deliver it in a hosted model? And these are all the things that we've done when we've thought about that cloud investment model. What we basically are doing is trying to provide our partners with all the tools, services, and best practices that they need to make the right cloud application investment decisions. So what applications are we moving to the cloud, or should we move to the cloud? How do we do it? Are we going to modernize? Are we going to add new objects? Are we going to rewrite some new functionality or write brand new functionality? When are we doing it? Are there changing customer requirements? Are there new competitors? Are there new markets? These are the questions that you as partner account managers really need to ask your partners. And our partners, this is the stuff that you really need to think about in terms of on your journey to software as a service. Now, the investment model, as any model, it's all about how much and what you're trying to accomplish. And so if you're just going after existing customers with that existing functionality, you might be able to do some things. But if you want to build brand new and go after brand new, then obviously the investment is more significant. So we start with a basic, x-axis and y-axis, and we basically say what are the business needs, and then therefore what would the cloud investment or what would be the investment strategy required. So it could just be that all you want to do is take your existing application and you just want to host it. And what you're looking to do more is have a SaaS business model. So you're really not looking to do much with the application. So this investment would really just require you finding a hosting partner, looking at the business model, coming up with a pricing strategy, and figuring out how to bring it to market. Probably more importantly is how can I actually enable true cloud economies of scale? So how can I modernize my application? I probably have to do some re-architecture. I probably need to make sure that I understand how I can support multiple tenants or multiple customers. I need to be thinking about business rules maybe. I might need to think about business continuity, because now if I'm the cloud service provider, how do I make sure that people are always up? And I have to think about, is it a public cloud deployment or a private cloud deployment? Now, if I want to take it to the little bit further than just modernizing, I could actually do some real transformation. I could think about brand new cloud-based services. As I said, some new services are born in the cloud, some are migrated. So the app modernization is migrating to the cloud. Transformation, and the next one, which is cloud native applications, this is all about cloud native and really born in the cloud. And this is either thinking about brand new services or architecting for true multi-tenant business applications in the cloud. This is going to take more investment, but they're actually going to get a better return, because the investment that they make, they're actually going to end up getting a return because they're going to lower their cost to deploy the business application. Reality is that an on-premise application was built for on-premise, and it's a very different architecture. It's one that each customer has their own implementation, and it was built and architected with the thought of it being on-premise and on-site. A cloud-native application is thought about, and it's built specifically to be hosted in the cloud and to be offered as a service. And then you could take it to that next level, which is all about a true global, social, connected, anywhere, anytime, any device. It's completely web native. You know, you really have a capability now to leverage other cloud-based services. And with our acquisition of Convey, this might be where you could actually have a services layer, an API services layer with backend as a service. And so this would be kind of that really next step, and I think this would require the most investment. But again, if somebody's really truly looking to be a cloud native application, then this is where we're going to actually start to talk to them about a vision and the future of where they want to take their application. But they could start anywhere. They could go through all 5 steps, or they could jump right into cloud native. This is why our understanding what their strategy is so important. Now with the strategy, obviously there are, and what if the investment and the business model changes, it also addresses business pain. So it's a great time to ask the question, what is the current pain for the partner? Is it competitive pressure? You know, is it an inability to gain economies of scale? Have they been doing this SaaS thing, but they really aren't seeing the return on that investment? Well, maybe it's because it's costing them so much because they actually still have a separate installation or implementation for every single customer. So you have to understand, what are their current challenges? Does it have to do with a lack of pricing flexibility? Well, then that's real simple. Let's fix that. Does it have to do with the cost and time associated with implementing applications and integrating applications? If they say that's why they're not growing their SaaS business at the 20 to 25% that everybody else in the industry, well, then maybe it's time for modernization. Is it because their competitors are coming in and outpricing them or underpricing them in the market? Well, that's probably because they've figured out a more cost-effective way to deploy cloud-based applications? Or is it about the time required to develop and deliver new products to market? Depending upon which one of these it is, we actually have the way in which we can solve and address these common business pains. If it has to just do with pricing, then we do have flexible pricing options. I hate when I go out and talk to a partner and they tell me that pricing is their biggest issue, because we have a service provider license agreement, a contract very specifically geared towards SaaS and cloud deployments. And so we have a contract, we have an ability to make that happen. So talk to them about what their challenges are. We also sometimes hear about, well, it's operational costs. Well, then this is a huge opportunity for us to come in and help with a modernization effort. Or maybe it's about that ability to support performance and future growth of the business. Then maybe they need to do more than just modernize. Maybe they need to re-architect completely and transform some capabilities. Maybe not the entire application, because remember, some apps will stay on-premise, some will migrate, and some will be born. So that's what you have to step back. It's not an all or nothing. They could take their core HR and general ledger and accounts payable and keep that completely the same. But maybe it's these sub-modules like pricing, or in retail, maybe it has to do with new promotions or new capabilities, or maybe in manufacturing it actually has to do with the shop floor, or maybe it has to do with the warehouse. So it doesn't have to be the same application they have today. It's understanding what the requirements are and how we can assist them, whether it's competitive differentiation, time to market, development costs, support costs, developer productivity. This is where really understanding what the pains are is important, because you'll see later on as we develop plans, we actually have tools that can help them address all these different pains. So let's get to what the plan is. Once we understand the strategy and we start to talk to them about what their pains are and how we can address these pains, the next thing is let's build a plan. So let's build a business plan. And the business plan really comes straight out of that strategy discussion. So if you've done that 4 quadrants, you know these answers. Is it new revenue opportunity? Are they going to be new services? Are they going to be new modules? Are they going after new geos or new targets? You know, who is that new market? Where do they exist? What are they looking to buy, and who are they? Who are the personas that they're looking to go after? Because that's really going to be what we're going to use to develop a market plan or a go-to-market plan. Because once you understand how they're going to go to market, is it the same sales channel? Are they looking at an indirect channel? Are they looking at partnering with somebody? What are some of their sales issues? Do they have to do with compensation plans? Do they have to do with lack of selling resources that understand SaaS and cloud? Do they have marketing plans? So these are all the things that if we could go in even just for a couple of hours, our team with their team could actually help to build a business plan and understand what their marketing plan is as well. When you think about the market and growth, this is all about how we're going to generate more revenue using our strategy around software as a service. And this is a combination. It's progress and the partner. This just isn't the partner. It's not just progress. It's about understanding who the target market is and how we can actually maximize that potential. And so are their current market bound by geography? Is the price the issue? Is the older technology limiting their growth? So let's understand what the issues are. Does a market exist? We could actually help and do some market research and understand what that market opportunity is. Can they extend to new geos? Is language a barrier, or is currency a barrier? Understanding what and how and where the market opportunity is really important. And then is there a need for a completely new distribution channel in terms of how they're going to bring their product to market? Do they need new messaging? Because we could actually help with some of that messaging as well. Their go-to-market is about understanding who that target buyer is. So once they identify who the buyer and the influencers are, then it's maybe changing their messaging. Maybe the messaging that they created 5, 10, 15 years ago needs to be updated. Is there an ecosystem or a channel that might actually help them bring their product to market? You know, a lot of the studies say that in software as a service, now all of a sudden the way in which you bring a product to market changes significantly, and you actually can use and rely more on a channel as opposed to having to do everything via direct sales model. The other thing that everybody says, and I think everybody knows this by now, but this is something that's very important, is what is their web presence? You know, are they using things like Google Analytics? What is their buyer-driven capability? If people are going to use cloud-based applications or web-based applications, you pretty much can bet that they're going to use the web to actually investigate and try to find opportunities or find out who the vendors are that have product that will meet their needs. And so some of our partners might need to step back and look at their current website and figure out if their current website is state-of-the-art. Obviously, we can help there too. We have partnerships with digital agencies, we have Sitefinity, we have a whole bunch of ways in which we can help them step up their website so that they have a nice marketing presence on the web and help them with either web or non-web based marketing. We have marketing programs, we have marketing empowerment, obviously all the stuff that Chuck and the team have developed. We have a lot of capabilities, and as was mentioned, we now have our new SaaS tools to actually help our partners as well. Pricing seems to be one of the biggest issues. I get a lot of questions from our partners about this one, and I can't tell them what the price of their product should be, but what we need to make sure that all of our partners understand is that we don't have a list price for our products in the SaaS business model. We either take a percentage or we determine what the right price point is based upon the target market and based upon their pricing. And so we could spend a whole day just talking about pricing, and this is something we have tools and partnerships and relationships with people that could help our partners figure out what their pricing could be. If they already have competitors, you know, it's really important they understand what are their competitive pricing, what are their competitors doing. Do they have a first mover advantage? Then if they have a first mover advantage, they get to set the price. But they need to understand that target market, they need to understand that buyer, and they need to understand the price points that are required for that target market. So that requires market research. You know, this can't be done with a blindfold on. You really need to understand what are you trying to do, what are your margins, what are your operational costs, and what are your margin requirements, and based upon that, figure out what the pricing is. But once our partners figure out their pricing, then Progress can determine the percentage or the portion of their application that will be paid. And that's the nice thing about the service provider license agreement is we have a lot of flexibility. The final element is what are the resources? What are the resources Progress has? What are the ecosystems of partnerships that we have? And how can we help our partners on this journey to SaaS? So as part of that investment model, what we've done is also behind the scenes, depending upon which one of those blocks that they're interested in, we have a number of different resources. We have products, we have technical enablement, we have empowerment programs, we have a full professional services organization, and we have a support organization, and we have different support tools as well. For example, if all I want to do is take my current OpenEdge based application and I want to host it, maybe they just need to understand some of the Release 11 features. Maybe they might want to do a health check to figure out if their application will, you know, perform appropriately as they're hosting it, and we might just need to get them on an SPLA. So that could be like the bare minimum. But if they want to modernize or transform their application, then we need to understand, well, what are they trying to do? Are they building new services? Are they building rules, for example? Maybe it's just adding some rules capability. Or maybe it's multi-tenancy that's required in order for them to reduce the cost associated with deploying that application. And so they might want to look at the multi-tenancy capability as part of Release 11. Or they might be building brand new cloud native applications, and so maybe role-based is something that they want to look at. Or are they trying to now support millions and thousands of unknown users? Then maybe they should be looking at PaaS for OE in terms of a tool or a new product offering that can actually help them. Are they looking to be more connected or be able to get access to other data sources? Maybe Data Direct is a good product option. And so if you look down here across, obviously you see we have lots of products. We have technical enablement to help them understand, for example, what to do in terms of understanding some of the new products or capabilities. You should be telling them to take online training or instructor-led training. We could do very specific training for them. Or we might have an empowerment program. We could do an empowerment program just talking about pricing or deploying applications. We could do a SaaS account business review. If they're currently a SaaS provider, but their revenue is flat for the last 5 years, which I've seen a lot of, to me that's a huge red flag. Everybody else is growing at 20+% year over year, and if we have a partner that's been doing SaaS for 5 years and is flat, what is the problem? That to me would be a good account business review to go in and understand and try to figure out and help them understand. Maybe it has to do with marketing. Maybe we could do a digital marketing workshop, help them understand. Maybe it has to do with modernization and we need to come in with services and maybe do a modernization jumpstart. Or maybe they could offer additional services like replication, and this is obviously a new revenue source which would help that year-over-year revenue growth. And then in terms of different things, in terms of what they're doing, maybe they do need help in terms of managed services or a third-party hosting provider, or maybe they need 24/7/365 support. Most SaaS providers have to be up and available 24/7, and so it's really important. We do have a brand new empowerment program, and this was mentioned by Chuck at the beginning, which is about SaaS Fast Track. And this is a program specifically for our Progress partners. It's a very comprehensive set of tools that help plan, execute, and measure the SaaS journey. And so this is a new empowerment program in 2017, very much focused on helping our partners to make that transition or on their journey to SaaS. And it doesn't have to be brand new. It could be, as I said, somebody's been doing SaaS for a while, but it's not giving them the growth opportunity that they thought. So let's evaluate and figure out why. It could be that they are moving to SaaS and they need to figure out what they need to do to be successful. So definitely take a look at that if you haven't already and understand what that SaaS Fast Track program is all about. This was an investment by Progress, and it's important that all of our partners understand this investment is specifically for them in helping them to grow their business. So the final thing is, yeah, okay, I'm going to do software as a service, but who hosts it? So Progress isn't in the hosting business, but it's very important that our partners do pick the right hosting partners. First of all, because of security, right? Right now, there are more records breached and data breaches in the U.S. as well as all around the world. And we can talk about all of these different ones and how much it costs, but it's about the fact that usually these are applications that are hosted internally. You do not hear a lot of data breaches from cloud service providers. You really don't. They actually have thought a lot about this, and they actually are experts in this area. And so I think it's really important. We actually asked some of our partners, and 451 did a study a couple of years ago that said, which type of service provider do you use for your applications? Many of them said they want to use either a global service provider or a local service provider. They aren't necessarily interested in an ISV or software company or some kind of systems integrator or just a basic data center operator. Many of them are actually looking to use specialized service providers, and they want these service providers to be specialized in cloud-based applications. And it's very important, I think, that when Yankee Group and Uptime and 451, any survey we've gone out and looked in terms of should people host their own SaaS applications, most of the times the customers who are the users of those applications said that they would rather their ISV partners actually have relationships with service providers. And it's because when they think about the data security and disaster recovery and business continuity, they know that that's not the core domain expertise of typically of an ISV. And so what they're really looking for is to have a service provider whose core expertise is in the area of hosting. And that's really why Progress has decided to build some more relationships. And so in the last year, we've started to build more and more relationships with service providers around the world. Now, many of these are global or global, like Amazon Web Services or HP or IBM. You know, some of them are very global. Others are very regional or in-country, and the reason for this is because there are privacy requirements and there are definitely different requirements by country. Excuse me. Now, so one of the things that a lot of our end customers, they want to be using somebody that everybody else is using. And that's why I think Amazon and Azure and even Google now is becoming more important. So what we're going to do is we're going to make sure that the OpenEdge application can be hosted by any of these service providers. Excuse me. And so really the key takeaway is that we want our partners to be able to pick the hosting provider that's right for them and right for their application. And so we're going to build these relationships, but it's also important that our partners talk to their local providers and that you as our partner account managers also understand who might be some of the partners locally that would be good for our partners. For example, here in North America, you know, it was one of our partners, Skyward, that actually introduced us to IS Corp because they knew that IS Corp had knowledge of OpenEdge. They're very reliable. They're a very good hosting partner. They've been a hosting partner of Skyward for a number of years. So now we've introduced them to other Progress partners, and now here in the U.S., they actually have many new hosting ISV partners that IS Corp is now hosting their application. And so this is how it goes about. And I think the same thing, I was in Helsinki a few weeks ago, and it seems as though right now Google is very present there. It's located there, locally there. And so, you know, depending upon who the right hosting provider is, AWS, Azure seems to be very popular in the UK. You know, we're willing to work with anybody. Progress is not a hosting provider for application services. We want to partner with members of our ecosystem and make sure that our ISVs have choice and options. And so just to wrap up, the cloud investment model, you know, this is a very business-focused, very repeatable approach to moving applications to the cloud. It's something that we've done with hundreds of our partners. We first understand what applications they're moving, then we work with them on how to move them, when to move them. Obviously, we try to leverage and protect our existing Progress investments, but what we have is tools, products, services, and people to actually help with that transition and help them on that investment strategy. And we do have best practices, we have training, we have empowerment, we have enablement. I think it's really important that we understand what our partners are trying to do, and then let's figure out how we can actually help our partners in this transition. And really our investment model is trying to create as complete of guide as possible for developing and delivering SaaS applications. Obviously, it's going to be different for each one of our partners, but we think it's really important that we provide at least an overview and a model and programs and services to help our partners on their journey to SaaS, because we believe this is the future opportunity for our partners as well as for overall the application industry as a whole. So with that, I'll close, and thank you very much for taking the time to listen today.
Thank you, Colleen. Again, if you have any questions, please submit it through the question interface. At the moment, we have not received any questions, Colleen.
Okay, I must have spoken so thoroughly.
We'll give it about 30 seconds here to see if something comes in. Again, any questions, please submit it in the question interface there in the right hand. Well, I guess you were very thorough, Colleen. There are no questions coming through, so might as well give some time back unless you got any closing thoughts.
No, I think I hope that most of our partner account managers have actually heard this discussion before, and this wasn't to Educate as much as to remind. I think it's important that we have the discussions with our partners more at a business level and understand what they're trying to do. As I go around the country and talk to a lot of our partners, you know, I think some of the ones that were maybe skeptical 10 years ago have realized now that they have to make this move. And I hope that all of you as partner account managers are having the talks, having the discussions with your partners to figure out what they're thinking about. Because if they haven't made the move to SaaS, they're probably not going after any new business. Or they're going to start to run into problems, or they're doing it without us knowing, and that actually is even more of a problem too. So that's all, I guess. Just have the business discussion with your partners.
Terrific. We did have one quick question where this will be posted. Marshall's recording this, and it will be posted to the sales portal after this. So you'll be getting the recording from Marshall after this. Yeah, and I guess that's it. All right, thank you, everybody. Have a great day and a great week. Thank you for joining on Monday morning.
Thank you.